it is no longer news that the U.S.-EU economic and trade relations have come under strain in the past 4 years of President Donald Trump. With the U.S. presidential election this week, policymakers in Europe will be mulling what to expect under either a Joe Biden new presidency or a continuation of the Trump administration. Speaking to this with me now is Ian Phillips, a reporter with Associated Press in New York. Good afternoon, Ian. It's good to see you on the show. Let's hit the ground running. How would the dynamics of U.S.-EU relations be impacted by a likely Democratic Joe Biden victory at the polls?
Good afternoon. Well, of course, everything is still hypothetical. We have not been able to call the U.S. election, as everybody knows. The race is still extremely close. So we're talking hypotheticals. But one thing is very clear. If Joe Biden becomes president of the United States, and all indications suggest that probably will happen, there will definitely be a change of relationship between the United States and its international allies. I would best sum up that change as America saying, we're back. We must not underestimate the difficulty of the last 4 years in terms of Donald Trump's America First policy and the effect that had on traditional relationships in Europe and beyond. Joe Biden is a consensus builder. He's done it throughout his political career in Congress. He's worked across party lines with Republicans and Democrats. He obviously also has relationships internationally, having been vice president under Barack Obama and in other jobs he's had in power. So there would be a change. He has already signaled that if in power, the first thing he would do would be to get back into the Paris Climate Accord to combat climate change. We would expect the U.S. to be back at the table with NATO, whereas Donald Trump had branded NATO as obsolete and a financial suck on America. We would expect a Biden administration to also be closer to bodies like UNESCO, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, especially given where we're at with the pandemic. But there are many question marks still, not least who will be the next president of the United States. And we also have to take into consideration other factors, such as the pandemic. The pandemic has changed everything. We now need to look at international relations through that lens. Will international relations be the top priority for Joe Biden? Naturally, the top priority will be to get the economy back on its feet again, to get people back in jobs, to find a vaccine. That comes first. It was quite striking how foreign policy was not at the top of the agenda. In fact, it was very low down during the presidential debates and during the campaign. So I would caution that we will have to wait and see. But we do know that Joe Biden, in his DNA, is more into sustaining and improving those historic traditional relationships that the U.S. has had abroad.
Here we go with China. China has made significant inroads into the economy, whether it is gas and all of that, the Silk Road, Belt Road initiative with Europe. What do you think will change depending on who becomes the next president of the United States?
I think that is the key question for everybody, and that actually will affect the way the U.S. deals with Europe. Is Europe the top priority? Actually, the top priority will be China. China is seen by many in the United States as the economic threat, as the technological threat. How will Joe Biden rule differently to Donald Trump? We're not expecting huge change. We do think there will be less confrontational language, but this is a very hot button issue in the United States. Joe Biden cannot be seen to be soft towards China, whether it's on trade or on human rights with the Uyghur community, for example, in China. So let's see. It's very hard to speculate right now, but this is a key issue. As you mentioned, China has economic deals in Europe, also in Africa. Joe Biden has said he wants America to be more influential on the African continent and has specifically referenced the way China has made economic inroads there. So all this is in the balance. It's up for grabs and truly a fascinating time for people studying international relations.
Out of this list of issues, what do you think comes first, would come first as the European policy makers, leaders and others are watching the votes being counted in the United States right now? What would they want to see happen first as soon as you decide who gets to occupy the White House?
I think in Europe, the main question will be what will the US policy be towards climate change? Joe Biden has come out very clearly and said this represents an existential threat to humanity. But one question on everybody's minds will be how free will Joe Biden and the Democratic Party be to implement ambitious policy on that front? We all know where he stands. He falls in line with many international leaders, many European nations on the need to reduce carbon emissions, to phase out fossil fuels. But this is a very sensitive topic in America. And if we can now assume that Biden is in the White House, and it still is an assumption, we also have to assume that the Democrats will not control the Senate. That is by no means guaranteed. The race is extremely tight. And without control in the Senate, it is very hard to push through an ambitious agenda. There are elements of the Republican Party who do not want to hear anything about a Green New Deal, about phasing out fossil fuels, who are skeptical about climate change and the fact that it is man-made. So I think one of the most pressing issues is what will America do? Will it be able to take the lead on climate change? Symbolically, it will be back in the Paris Accord, but what exactly will that mean? Will they truly be able to lead? That and other issues we're all waiting to see.
Thank you so much, Ian Phillips, my colleague at Associated Press in New York. Thank you so much. We'll keep our eyes open on the votes being counted and what happens next. Have a great day.